Hi everyone, this is a quick video that will introduce you to Module 4. So Module 4 is the halfway point of the semester. At the end of Module 4, you will have the opportunity to take the midpoint quiz or midpoint survey that will allow you to give some feedback on the class and is another extra credit opportunity. So make sure that you take advantage of that. Module 4 is also the start of our third essay assignment, the comparison contrast essay. So just like the cause-effect essay, we will be spending 2 modules on it. So this module will be, Module 4 will be the pre-writing and kind of preparation module, and then Module 5, you will finish the comparison essay and submit it. So I do want to go over these assignments very briefly. So we have a couple of things in here that are new. You are working more with documentation. So if you remember in the cause and effect essay, we had kind of an overview and you were supposed to start practicing using sources in that essay, but the requirements were not very stringent. In this essay for the comparison contrast, you will be expected to show more accuracy with your documentation and up those skills a little. So one of the things that you'll be doing is some readings out of the textbook over documentation. So if you were confused a little bit in the previous module, hopefully by this point, everything will start to make a lot more sense. Documentation is, again, one of those concepts that's a little bit more difficult for students to understand and to really get in their writing. And so one of the best ways to do that is just to practice. Honestly, it's hard to just read something and be able to understand it. So reading and then practicing over and over, and then obviously not doing it correctly and then correcting your mistakes. Those are the ways to get better at documentation. So once you do it over and over, it starts to become a lot more habit. So we have 2 things that you'll be doing. Once you have done those readings, you'll take a quiz. A quiz is a little bit longer, but we'll show all the questions are MLA related. And so again, it'll kind of show your mastery of that information just from reading. And then the other thing you're doing is this documentation assignment. So this assignment correlates with your essay, which is once you've kind of decided what topic you want to use, then you can find 2 sources about it. Now, if you don't end up using these sources in your essay, it's not a big deal. But if you do, then you have already looked at them in this capacity and you have made it a works cited entry for them. So it makes it easier to use these sources in your essay. But it's not a big deal if you decide to change your topic or something. So this assignment is complex, but once you finish it, you'll realize it wasn't that difficult. So you're just doing, you have 2 sources, and then all you're doing is 3 things for each of the 2 sources. So you write out the works cited entry, then you use 1 quote and 1 paraphrase, and you're documenting them correctly. And that's what you'll be tested over essentially, is whether or not you can do those 3 elements for 2 sources. So there's an example here just to show you what it looks like. See if I can get it open here. And then that way you have what it looks like. Oh, they go. Let's switch together. So these are the 2 sources, and then I've got the 2 quotations and then the 2 paraphrases. So you can see what they're supposed to look like. It's not, like I said, it's not very long, and it won't take you very long, but it's a little bit more complex if you aren't used to working with sources like this. Then it can be a little bit more difficult. So you may have to go look some things up in order to complete this assignment. Again, using 2 sources, hopefully that you'll use in your comparison essay, and then you're not doing a lot of extra work because now you have some quotations that you found. Now you have a works cited entry that you've created. So then you're going to do the readings for the comparison contrast assignment. This assignment is the essay itself. So again, we've got the criteria that you are required to meet. So with a comparison, you're choosing two subjects to compare. And you might choose things that are really similar to one another, like two types of guitar, like acoustic and electric guitar, very similar, and a lot of people get them confused. And so your essay might then focus a little bit more on differences, because that would be more interesting to discuss. Then again, you might pick two things that seem like opposites, like two different religions, Christianity and Islam. Now you've got two things that most people see as really different. Let's find some similarities. That will be interesting. And so then that paper might focus on similarities. You've got a lot that you can do with this essay and a lot of different topics that you can choose. So as you start to think of things that you can use, remember that you are not limited to only similarities or only differences or only half and half. You can do one similarity, two differences. There's a lot of different ways that you can combine this together. It's a comparison contrast. So every paragraph may cover a little bit of a similarity, but mostly differences. So you have to have an emphasis. What is more interesting to emphasize, the similarities or the differences? And then how do you show that in your essay? The other thing that you want to make sure you're not doing is arguing. Do not pick a topic that you feel really strongly about, because you'll end up arguing or it will be biased. Instead, pick two things that you can set side by side and look and see what's going on. So for example, Democrats and Republicans, that's a great topic to look at similarities, because a lot of people think of them as opposites. But if you feel very strongly about one political party or the other, or you don't like one political party or whatever, I would not pick that topic, because it makes it very difficult to remain objective. So you are not evaluating your subjects, and you are not arguing whether one is better than the other. So if you have an iPhone and you think the iPhone is the greatest, you will not be arguing that that is better than an Android phone. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's not an argument essay. So what you're going to be doing to prepare for the essay then is a pre-writing journal. So this comparison pre-writing journal is set up like a personal discussion board, just like we did the exercise 4 through 7 journal earlier. And you've got 4 entries that you'll do, and you will hit reply for each one, and you will upload each one separately. This is specific to your comparison essay though. So the first step is to brainstorm some pairings, and then you choose your 2 favorite and do a free write, and then you do a cluster map, and then you do a working thesis. So by the time you get to entry 4, you should have a working thesis for the topic that you are using for your essay. If at some point in here you change your mind, that's fine. You may want to email me and tell me that you have changed your mind about your topic, or redo one of the entries. It's really when I give feedback on these journals, I just assume that's the topic that you're going to use, so that feedback won't be relevant if you change your topic. The other thing that you're going to do is this academic sources discussion board. So we've got information on finding good academic sources, and then you're going to post in the discussion board. So again, you're going to find sources about your comparison topic. It may be the same sources that you use for the documentation assignment. You don't have to do extra work here. But then again, you may decide that you want to find different sources. So then you found 5 sources total, and then you have a lot more that you can look at when you start writing your essay. So you have 3 sources about your comparison topic. Again, if you change your topic, not a big deal, but you're going to create 3 threads, so 1 for each source, so 3 separate threads with the information for the source, author, title, and URL, and that's all you post in your original post. The response posts are from other students who will be evaluating your source. Now, every post can only have 1 reply to it, because then once you're copying each other's evaluations. That's why you're posting 3, so there will be plenty of extra, theoretically, and so that there will be a lot to choose from when you go to do your reply posts. So just keep that in mind. You're doing 3 threads to begin with, but only 2 responses. Those responses are the big part of this assignment, because what I'm really looking for is how well do you evaluate each source. So you have these 5 criteria or 4 criteria from this chart in Rules for Writers, and then those are what you're going to be evaluating your sources on, or your peers' sources on. The last thing in this module is the midpoint survey. You can get extra credit for completing it. It is anonymous. All it does is tell me that you completed it, and then I can see the responses, but they don't have people's names on them. And so what this allows me to do is make changes to the class if there is anything that students are frustrated by at this point in the semester. So thank you for watching this video all the way through. Thank you for those of you who watched the last video and got extra credit for doing that. Hopefully you're doing well. If you have any questions, send me an email.